Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Rustam and I'm going to discuss BS research report writing. So this is second part of a very lengthy recording. So the first part consists of 40 minutes recording, and in that part I discuss 3 chapters of a research report. So this is a specific recording being addressed to 6th semester students studying psycholinguistics at Government Degree College Havelia. And I assigned there are 26 students in 6th semester, and they were divided into 5 groups, and I designed 5 mini research projects for them, and 5 students were given the same project but with different population and different sample size. So now I'm educating them on how to write their research report. So this video and should be watched with the previous one, because many things were explained in previous video. Now in this video I'll talk about chapter number 4 and chapter number 5 of the research report. The same document will be displayed on the screen which I used for the previous research. So here I am discussing only one project. The name of the project is Factors Affecting BS Students Speaking Proficiency. So this is the topic. So every chapter is related to this topic. Now I'm going to bring on screen the PDF document, a full-fledged 5 chapter report. So here is chapter 4. As I have been discussing in previous video, that the chapter is set at the center. Okay, as you can see here, chapter number 4, font style of this area is 12 and this heading is 14. So usually people, researchers just keep it 16 and this one 14 and the text is 12. But I prefer using the font size for this 14 and this 12 bold and this is 12 unbold. This is not bold, this text is not bold. So line spacing, usually when you submit your research report to your supervisor, usually it is kept 2. So the vertical space between the line is 2, but when you submit a final report, usually it is kept 1.5 between lines. Now what is chapter 4? It deals with results and discussions. Again, every chapter has a brief introduction. So this chapter analyzes BS students' responses to various items on the questionnaire, because in this project questionnaire was given to the students. Results have been shown thematically because there were 3 themes: psychological factors, social factors, and financial factors. For simplification purposes, options of strongly agree and agreed, they both on the Likert scale, have been merged into one. Likewise, strongly disagreed and disagreed have been merged into one variable called disagreed. Now main heading 4.1, it means chapter number 4. Now subheading 1, data related to psychological factors. As you can see, I have bolded it. So now I'm going to discuss data related to psychological factors. So item number 2, 3, 4 and 18 related to the psychological or affective factors which affect BS student speaking proficiency. Now first of all, let me show you the questionnaire and let me read question number 2, 3, 4 and 18. So instead of saying questions on questionnaires, we say items on questionnaires. So this questionnaire is placed at the end of this document. Let me scroll up for you and let me take you to the end of the document. So here is questionnaire. Okay, here is questionnaire. So you can see this is introduction of the questionnaire, respondents profile, that is demographic data. Now these are the items. Let's see question number 2. I don't feel any hesitation in speaking English in the class. So options were strongly agree, agreed, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So these were the 5 options given, and this questionnaire was distributed among the 30 students of Department of Physics. Okay, and item number here is another item. I don't speak English in the class for the fear that my classmates will laugh at my poor English. So this was another item on the questionnaire. So I'm going to analyze all these in the report. Okay, chapter number 4. So let me take you to chapter number 4. So all everyone all the students in this group who are investigating factors affecting BS English students speaking proficiency can follow this format, and this video lecture will also give an idea to other research groups studying at Government Degree College of Velia that how chapter number 4 is written. Okay, so after this you have to give the title to your table 4.1.1. so this is 4.1, so this is 4.1.1, subheading hesitation in speaking English in public. Okay, so the question was, I feel hesitation to speak English publicly in the class. So these are the responses: agreed, disagreed, neutral. Now while analyzing data in rough sheets, you have to merge strongly agree and agree into one category, and strongly disagree and disagreed into one category, and then neutral. So see, there were 15 male students and there were 15 female students. So total students who participated in this study, they were 30. So everything should be related to the main topic, nothing incongruous should be there. So now to this statement that we feel hesitation, 8 male agreed, 7 male actually it is 5 male students disagreed, and 2 were neutral, they didn't provide responses. Okay, so 8 and 5 13, and this is 2 15. Now let's talk about female students. So 6 students agreed and 4 disagreed. Okay, and 5 students they they were neutral. So there is some mistyping here anyhow. So you have to calculate the total here 14, and this is here and this is here, so total are 30. Now you have to find the percentage, like agreed, so you have to write 30, and upon it you have to write 14 out of 30 agreed. Okay, so what is the percentage? This is the percentage. So after giving this data here, you have to interpret the data and find the results. You need to mention table 4.1.1 shows BS student responses to item number 2 on the questionnaire. 46% students feel hesitation while speaking English in the class, while 36% students do not feel hesitation. Male students are more hesitant in publicly speaking English than female ones. The same results are shown graphically below. As you can see, agreed 46%, disagreed 36%, and neutral 17%. So this is result number 1. And now Aisha Wazir, whose project I have taken up as a sample for others, so you have to give your own data here. So this data is just what should I say, fictitious data I have just inserted to guide you. So you have to put here actual data, and then you have to add up these numbers here. This addition should be here, and you have to find the percentages, and then you have to discuss here in one paragraph, and then it should be graphically represented. So in second part, the table 4.1.2, 4.1 means the heading which is already at the top. So fear of classmates laughter, So these are psychological factors. So item was fear that my classmates will laugh at my poor English. So this was a question. This was an item on the questionnaire. So 30 students provided responses to it. Like question was, I feel afraid and I don't speak English because of my classmates, that they will laugh at me. Now students were supposed to have ticked on strongly agree and strongly disagree like this. So 13 students agreed and 2 students disagreed, and there were no students who were neutral. So all the 30 students gave their opinion. Now coming to female, 12 female agreed to this statement, 3 disagreed, and total were 15. Now students who agreed, they were 25, both male and female, and students who disagreed, they were 5. It means majority of students agreed that because of fear of classmates they don't speak English. So here is percentage. How do we find the percentage? So we have to write that there were 30 students. This should go into the denominator, and here in numerator we will write 25. So 25 out of 30 agreed. So what about 100? If they were 100, what would have been the result? There were 30 students and out of 30, 25 agreed. So if instead of 30 there would have been 100 students, what would have been the result? So result would have been 83%. So 83% means out of 100. So after calculation like this, you have to give a brief description here. Table 4.1.2 displays results to the question if inhibition to speak English was caused by a fear that classmates would laugh at speakers' awkward English. Majority of students, that is 83%, agreed to this statement. It means that this fear is a dominant factor of non-proficiency of speaking. Here is a graphic representation of the results. As you can see here, that majority 83%, as you can see, this is known as pie chart, they agreed, and a small portion, that is 16%, disagreed. Okay, now you can see the chapter number 4 in front of you as I'm scrolling up. So here beautifully written, margin is 1.25 inches on the left, 1 inch on the right, and each data is being discussed systematically. Now we are discussing psychological factors. Okay, now here is another psychological factor, fear of making mistakes. So there was a question, fear of making mistakes. Here you can write the complete question, that I don't speak English in the class because of fear of making mistakes, that I will make mistakes and my teachers, my peers will laugh at me. This was the statement, or this was the item on the questionnaire. Now see the responses. This is a fictitious data filled by me. So each student in the group, there are 5 students in this research group, so you should mention the actual data you collected from the BS students. Okay, so 10 students agreed, 4 students disagreed, and 1 student did not record his or her opinion. So 9 students from female population, there were 15 female who were responding, who were filling up the questionnaire, they agreed, and 5 disagreed and 1 neutral. So total male students were 15, total female students were 15. So there were 30 respondents. Okay, out of these 30 respondents, 19 agreed and 9 disagreed and 2 were neutral. So percentage, as you can see in front, all the percentages given here. So now interpretation, and interpretation means you have to explain this table and then you have to discuss the result. This table shows responses to the question if fear of making mistakes stops BS students from speaking. 19 out of 30 students, you can see 19 out of 30 students, and percentage wise 63%, in the bracket I have shown in parentheses, agreed to the statement, while 30% disagreed. Here is the data, 30% disagreed. two students decided not to give their opinion. So now 4.2, what is 4.2? In 4.1 we discuss psychological factors. Okay, psychological factors, data related to psychological factors. So 4.1 is a subheading, and subheading is mentioned in 4.1.1, 4.1.2, so 4.1.3. Now we are going to second subheading, that is 4.2, and now we are going to discuss let's say financial factors, data related to financial factors. So one of the hypotheses was that students of affluent families are good at speaking than those belonging to poor strata of society. Item number 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 indicate students' financial status and speaking proficiency. So here I didn't discuss all the items because of shortage of time. So I took one item, and this item was financially rich students can speak fluent English. This was the item. So I have shown analysis. 4 male students agreed, 10 disagreed, 1 stayed neutral. So total there were 11 students who agreed to this statement. They said yes, finances play a role, but majority disagreed. They said that no, poor people and rich student both can speak fluent English. There are other factors which cause poor performance in speaking skill. So here is the interpretation. Table 4.2 depicts results of correlation of financial status and the speaking proficiency. As is evident from the data analysis that financial condition of the learner does not affect speaking proficiency to a greater extent. Only 37% agreed to the statement while 60% disagreed. I am taking up the data from here. Okay. Now graphic representation. See, agreed 37% and disagreed 60% and neutral 3%. So this chart is known as bar graph. It can be quite easily inserted here in chapter number 4. In another video I will guide you how to insert and edit these charts in chapter number 4. Let me proceed further. So effect of social factors on speaking proficiency. So table 4.3. So there was a question. I think a city dweller student will be more proficient in spoken English than a village student. So responses: agreed means strongly agreed and agreed together. So 9 male student agreed and 10 female agreed, and same way other data is mentioned. So total out of 30, 19 students agreed yes, that students who live in cities they are good at speaking, and students who live in villages they are not good at speaking. So here is the interpretation and discussion. Table 4.3 shows the link between social background of the student and speaking proficiency. 63% students were of the view that social background had an impact on speaking proficiency. This can be studied in the backdrop of Bernstein's theory of restricted and elaborated codes. Bernstein is a anthropologist and sociologist. He says that people who are poor, their code is restricted. I mean, they don't have much vocabulary. So poor background or rustic background, it does have an effect on your speaking or language development. So data has been shown graphically using this pie chart. As you can see, agreed, this color shows agreed. So 63% students agreed to this. Yes, poverty does have a role to play in speaking proficiency, and 24 students disagreed and 13 stayed neutral. They didn't record any voice. Now table 4.4, summative exam and speaking proficiency. Summative exam means board exam, last exam. So I can't speak English because there was no speaking test in educational board exam at matric and inter level. It means that board exam is based upon reading and writing, so there was no question in the exam paper, so teacher never taught oral skills or speaking skills. So it is because of this that we are not good at speaking. So 25 students agreed to this statement and 3 disagreed. So it means majority agreed. See the interpretation. Data shows the data about effect of exam system on speaking proficiency of BS students. So 83% students declared education board's exam system as a major factor behind their poor speaking performance. Judging from board's exam pattern, this result seems to be quite plausible. Oral skills are almost neglected in teaching system. So BS students were never exposed to oral practice because teachers only taught reading and writing, which the exam system demanded from them. Last comparison, and these comparison are being this data is being presented according to the objectives set at the start of the study. Okay, I will once I'm finished, I will read out objectives and hypotheses. Okay, so whatever is being done in chapter 4, it is as per your objective and hypotheses. So now psychological factors: agreed 19, disagreed 8, and 3 stayed neutral. So there were 30 students. Financial factors: 11 agreed and 18 disagreed. Social factors: 19 agreed and 7 disagreed. So this data is presented here. So there are 3 bars: psychological factors. So see psychological factors. Agreed. Many students said that psychological factors, because of psychological factors students can't speak English. And as you can disagree is shown here, and this is neutral. So in each category I have shown 3 3 bar graphs. Each bar graph has got 3 variables. Okay, this means agreed, disagreed, neutral. Same here. So as you can see, social factors agreement and psychological factor agreement is quite at high level. It means majority of students, that is out of 30 let's say 22 or 29 25 students or 80% students agreed that psychological and social factors are the factors because of which we be a student can't speak English. So as is evident from the table and the graph, that effect of psychological and social factors on speaking proficiency is more than the financial factors. It means the fear of public shame, anxiety, and lack of motivation contribute towards BS students lack of proficiency in English. So financial factors have also been have an effect on speaking proficiency too, but not to the greater extent. Now discussion. This discussion is usually very long in actual thesis, but here I have tried to write only one sentence. Results show that there are various factors because of which BS students cannot speak English well. No one factor can be pointed out as the major one. You can see that research report containing 5 chapters is logically moving forward. So everything is being related to chapter number 1. Okay, so now we move to chapter number 5.